Hey guys, it's Irene again. So I promised I'd let you know how the Tower of London went, didn't I? Since we're still doing the vlog thing. So this morning my parents and I started our day with going to the Tower of London and finished our day with that as well. Because it took until, well, my parents finished their day with it. It took until about 4:30 for us to get back to our hotel after going to go see it, which is amazing. And we still didn't see everything. That's how big this place is. And it's a lot of fun. I'd suggest for anyone to go there. But I'm going to tell you what we did. So we get there about 10:30 in the morning, and we walk in, and we get a little map. And I actually have it. Let me get it for you. It's in my coat. My trusty coat. I love this coat so much. It's so helpful with everything. I'm keeping my papers, my wallets, my phones. So get this. It's a map of the grounds, basically. You just open it. And voila! The Tower of London appears. So we find out that the interactive historical theater thing, I don't exactly know what its technical term is actually happening. And they're doing one on King Edward II, right, the days leading up to his coronation, basically. And it took place here, in the medieval palace. Can you see it? You can see it. Okay. And so we went in, and as what I saw the medieval palace, there are basically 3 rooms. There's the one room with a lot of historical stuff and has some cloth. Oh, there's a name for that. It has some of the cloth hanging to show what the tapestries would have been made out of. And then in another room, it's set up as a bedchamber. There is a fireplace, a bed, a table, 2 benches and windows, and a chest. And in a little corner of that room, there is a prayer room, because that is the king's quarters, and they like to have a prayer room, a private prayer room, private chapel, right off the king's quarters so he can pray right before going to bed. And then down these few stairs, up a mini spiral staircase, through a hallway, and down a few more stairs. There's, like, it was called something. Hold on, I'll let you know what it was called. Well, I can't find it on the map. So, and it's basically just an audience chamber, because there's a little throne and another fireplace, I believe, and window outlets that people can sit in, and a prayer place, I believe. It's actually the location where one of the King Henrys, Edward II's father, King Henry, died. So, fun. But so we didn't know which of these rooms it would start in. So I set my parents up in the audience chamber room, basically. And then I ran back and forth between the one room with all the history facts in it and the bedchamber, because I found the bedchamber from a theater standpoint very educational, because eventually I'll probably need to know what a room like that looks like sometime in my life. Probably. There's no guarantee, but probably, right? So I was taking detailed pictures of the room, of the wallpaper, the tapestries, the bed, the fireplace, the paintings of the family crests around the fireplace, the shield leaning against the fireplace, the stool, the game that they were playing. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself and going off on a little rant. So we finished that. We get in our little says when I see this woman come across in period clothing. And so I follow. And she goes into the bedchamber. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so it must start in here. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're getting like the servant standpoint of this, or if we're getting Edward himself's standpoint on this, or the queens, his sisters, you know. I don't know what. It turns out it was a mix, because there was this random servant, and then the king and his sister, I believe the queen, and a noble. And they were just talking about the plans for the coronation, basically. And Edward talking about how him and one of his friends have actually planned to do his coronation differently than how it's been done prior to this. And he's going to, and how the noble official he's telling this to is kind of like, he's a little wary about this. And then there's another man who apparently stole 20,000 marks from the treasury of the royal family. And so Edward's trying to figure out how to deal with that, because he's a clergyman and stuff. And so we didn't get to see all of it, but it was very detailed. And so basically the parts I remember is that King Edward had decided with his one friend, and then actually his friend came up with the idea, and he just went, okay, is that he would go to his coronation barefoot and in plain clothing. And get there. And then he'd get in, and then he'd put on the gilded clothing, the high, the fine, the very expensive clothing. And so the idea was that he would enter as a man, just a normal man, and when he came back out after being crowned and anointed, he'd emerge a king. And I thought that idea was really cool. And so did Edward, and they were talking about it. And he was also, for the first time in history, Edward II was going to have women present at his coronation, because he's also having his wife crowned queen on the same day. And random history bits, I just love learning about them. So, yeah, we learned that, and then we watched the talking between him and the man that stole the marks. And it was kind of like a pre-trial, because he didn't want to actually have a trial until after his coronation, until he had more facts. But it was basically like, can you explain this? Can you explain it in a way that it won't seem fishy to me? Since I've known you spoke against one of my friends, and you've spoken against me. So, let's hear what's going on. And then they went back into the bedchamber after that, and they started playing this game. I don't remember what it's called, but I asked them, because interactive theater, they were already interacting with me anyway. Let me ask what they're playing. It was this really interesting game, and I know the rules, I just don't remember what the game was called. But basically, if you start off with these little pieces on this board, and you can only move the pieces to the corners, and after you make a line of 3, you can take a piece of your opponent's off. But if you get down to 2, you lose. And it was very interesting. And I was watching Edward play against his sister, and she got down to 3, which means she could now move her pieces anywhere on the little board. But Edward still had to move his just as sliding, because he had, I believe at the time I asked the question, 6 pieces still. So, yeah. So that was that part of it. And then we went and had lunch. And then after that, we went and saw the crown jewels, which are still beautiful and breathtaking. There's a reason they're the crown jewels. So we saw those, and I can't describe it in a way that will be understandable. So if you get a chance to come to London, to go to the Tower of London, go and see the crown jewels. Okay, so moving on from there, we walked. So this is the White Tower, and we entered here to go to the cafe, because here was where that theater thing was, and here was the cafe. So we entered the nearest arch, which was right there, and here in this back corner is the crown jewels. And then we walked this way, and they have a little monument right here that is a memorial to all the innocent people that got beheaded at the tower. And then from there, we walked out and had to find a taxi. So that was our trip at the Tower of London. I will probably be going back, hopefully, another point in this 5 months, and I will see more and do more and tell you more about it. We also saw the chicken wire animals. We saw the lions and the polar bear and the monkeys, and those are really cool. Oh, and the elephant. So if you get a chance, make sure you see those. But after that, we got back to the hotel. With all that, we got back to the hotel at 4:30-ish. And dinner at the hotel didn't start till 5:30. So, as many of you know from my last video, I'm on a mission to find a bookstore. So I got my parents up into their room, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go explore and find a bookstore. And the plan was just to walk, because I'm going to need to get a sense of my bearings in this place, right? Because I'm not good with directions like go to this street, turn on this street. I'm good with landmarks. So it takes a lot of trial and error for me to find places I want to go if I'm given a street. So I asked a concierge downstairs where a bookstore was. And he's like, okay, go up this way, turn right, go around this building, turn left, and you're going to go straight a little bit more, and then you're going to go on a street called Charing Cross. And there's a huge bookstore called Foyles on the street. You'll find it. It'll be very easy. I got lost on those directions. So I followed them. I went down, I got to the building, I turned right, and I went around it, and I continued going straight, and then I went to turn left. I couldn't see the street signs. I had no idea where I was going, and I went down the wrong street. And then I stopped into another store, looked around in it, bought one or two things. Basically, I bought an Oyster card pass, because, not a pass, but like a pass holder, because I was going to need one of those. And I bought a deck of cards, because entertainment. And I asked directions again. They're like, it's just this way and you'll be fine. Well, I went that way. And again, got turned around, got lost. So I went down another street. I found a different little convenience store that's set up really different, had different things. But I went in to ask directions again, and I saw a Kinder Surprise egg. So I got one of those and asked directions again. Well, they gave me directions, and I followed them. And I got on the right street. But like I said, I couldn't see the street sign. So I didn't know I was on the right street. And I had walked down that street for a very long ways, okay? And I got to the point where I'm like, I'm not seeing a bookstore. I don't know. And I'd forgotten the name of the bookstore at that point, because walking and asking directions multiple times and just getting the overall feeling of I'm going to get lost or I'm going to get hit by a car. And I'm going to die on a simple mission to find a Harry Potter book in London. That was my thought. I'm going to die finding Harry Potter in London. Because I'm going to get hit by a cab or a bus. So I turn around because I'm like, I'm not seeing it. And there's this guy in one of those magazine stand things that are in like the middle of the road. So I walk down to him. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to find Charing Cross and a bookstore on Charing Cross. And he's like, okay, well, the street you're on is Charing Cross. Just go down and it's a big bookstore. You can't miss it. So I went down that street again. And the store I saw, but for some reason didn't click in my head to be a bookstore, was the bookstore. And I'm like, really? Really? It was that simple? It was that simple. Okay. Okay. For the love of God, have Harry Potter in you. And so I ran across the street because there were no cars coming. And I get in there. And I get distracted. This is why you don't send me on missions to bookstores. But I got distracted by Star Wars merch, basically. Because I was looking for a gift for one of my other cousins. But I pulled myself away from the merch because I'm like, I am here on a mission. I have to accomplish this. I have to have part A of this mission done. I'm in a bookstore. Part A must be done tonight. Because if this bookstore doesn't have it, I'm literally just going to cry. So I see a man at a desk. And it looks like he's at the information desk. I'm like, Harry Potter, where? He goes, oh, it's down there in the kids section. So I got Harry Potter. It's upside down. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I have succeeded in my mission. Oh. Well, it's part A of mission because part A is getting it, part B is getting it to my friend. So, part 1 of a 2-part mission, part A of B, is complete. I have the book in my hand. Went back, looked at the Star Wars merch, got a few buttons for my cousin. And then came the task of finding my way back to the hotel. This was supposed to be a simple 10-minute walk, okay? I look at my clock. It has been almost an hour. That's how lost I was. So I continue. I'm like, okay, just follow the path you took to get here and you will be fine. Somehow I lost the path I took to get there. But I found another path. And I got to my hotel quicker than it took to get to the bookstore. Because I think I found the path the concierge tried to tell me. I succeed at that. So, I go and I just look for my landmarks. What did I see coming here? I saw this man, and I did this to get to him, and then I saw that. So let's go that way, because that looks familiar. And ooh, the lights! I remember the lights. Just follow the lights. So I follow the lights, and I get to the big statue thing, and I'm like, oh, yes, the statue thing. Matilda, haha, the statue thing of Matilda. Which of these roads led me to the statue thing in Matilda? Because it's a pinwheel, basically. There's the road I just walked up on. There's a road a little ways off, road I was So I look at the Matilda sign. And I look at the statue thing. And I'm like, okay. I came in near the statue, then Matilda. So down this road. So I start running down this road. So I run across the cobblestone, and I'm heading for the one like straight across from me. And I'm like, wait, nope, it was that one. So I saw a store I recognized. So I ran onto that street so I wouldn't get hit by a taxi, and continued to walk down. I was like, okay, now to not get lost the rest of the way, because there was no helpful things after that, except for one random store that is tourist, like every little knick-knack you could want from London in this store. So I have to find that store, and then I go straight from there, and I can find my hotel. So I basically guess until I find the store. And it worked out pretty well. It wasn't that much of a guess. My first guess was correct, but it was still that way. And so it was my first guess, but I found it, and I got back to the hotel perfectly fine. Much later than what I thought, though, because when he said it was like a 10-minute walk, I was like, oh, yes, I'll be back at 5, maybe 5:20 if I get distracted. 5:40. 5:40 is when I got back. But I succeeded, and I now know how to kind of get to that bookstore. Because I went at night, and everything looks different in the morning, so... But I found it. I wish I could do the little cheery noise right now, because I would. But yeah. And that is the end of my day. So I saw the Tower of London. I got lost looking for a bookstore that everyone said was easy to find. I walked on Charing Cross, which everyone's been going, why am I so excited about the name of this random road in London? Well, we were on so this might have affected my memory of directions. Because a play we did my freshman year, one of the characters said, I came home by way of Charing Cross. And that was all I could think of after that. Was I came home by way of Charing Cross. And I'm going to go walk on Charing Cross, and this will be awesome. Yeah. Until you get lost looking for Charing Cross. But I found it. I got the book. Succeeded in part A/part 1 of this 2-part mission. And hopefully I will find out when part B gets accomplished. Because I'm sending this book home with my parents to give it to the girl who wanted it. Alright. That's all for this video, I believe. But I will talk to you guys later. I'm still alive. I did not die when I got lost in London. So the little voice in my head was wrong. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. Bye. There'll be more to come.